Alrighty, here we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna get right to it here. I'm currently on this book here. This is Titan Hoppers by Rob J. Hayes. And the reason I started reading this is because over on a channel called Andrew's Wizardly Reads, this was a recommendation. And the reason I got it is because I saw this right here, and I thought, I like that. I asked him, is this just a piece of cover art, or is this in there? And he said it is, and not only is it in there, it's a central piece of the magic system that works in this book. This is an actual space fantasy. It takes place in space. I suspected in the beginning about what I was reading. I didn't look it up too much further in. It is, in fact, a young adult book, and you get the feel of that right off the bat, I guess. If you're not used to reading young adult books, sometimes they're just a little, I don't know, sort of mediocre in the way that they're written. I don't know how you do it, that you downtone it for the audience, this younger audience or something. It's not bad. It's not horrible at all. It's just, there are things like, here's a piece of dialogue. Now here's a paragraph this long to explain that piece of dialogue. Here's another piece of dialogue. Now here's another paragraph to explain that dialogue, and so on. It was a little kind of grating at first. It is definitely a quick info dump when you start out, but not unenjoyable. The setup is that sometime in some ancient history, fleets of ships set out because they found these planetoids called Titans. Now the ships themselves are not, they're big as they are, not nearly as big as these Titan planetoids. The ships themselves have something like a few thousand people living on them at a time. An aircraft carrier, modern aircraft carrier, is about 1,000 feet long. It can house like 5,000 people. Give you a little idea there. But they're infinitesimal compared to these large planetoids they found. And what they found on these things were lost technology. And whoever created them is presumably long since gone. I don't know yet. I'm only that far in. And so each one of these Titans have been infected with monsters. And so the only life they know is that of being on a ship. Generations and generations have passed, and so they don't seem to have any knowledge of where they came from or where they're going. They're just after these Titans to get the resources off them, just to survive. People manifest powers, and so they hop over, hence Titan hoppers, and they use these extra powerful beings to battle the monsters and the traps to get to these resources so they can keep their ship going. We meet this fellow here, Eero, and in the beginning he loses a sister who is also a Titan hopper. He is not at that time. He's a younger man, about 12 years old, but he does get her sword, which he carries around with him, and he's going to learn to use it. He can manifest. This is called a crest. He can manifest one at first. It's not very powerful. He can't do anything with it, but he does eventually learn to do something with it. So he gets into training to become a Titan hopper. There's definitely a hierarchy here, where the more Titan hoppers you have on your ship, the more prestigious you are considered. Also, there is a rank. There are 5 levels. So these guys have not, the trainees and our protagonist here, haven't even opened what's called their first gate. If you get to the 5th gate, you're part of the ruling class. Now there are 6 books planned, which I'm making a wild flying guess here that each book is going to be a new gate opened. So you'll watch the guy grow in power with each new book. It does have a quick illustration of how easy people can fall into hierarchies that are essentially planned for them. The group is about to, they think, discover a manufacturing zone, which is going to get them resources and ship repairs and things like that. And one of them pops right up and says, oh good, we'll be able to make ourselves these new Titan forged weapons instead of these ones that we have in the armor. And another person pipes up and says, well no, other ships need stuff just to survive instead of you getting your armor. And so even the good people can just fall right into these hierarchies. So it's a little, each character is better than cardboard, let's say. Each one is distinct. they don't get too particularly deep right off. As it goes off, the little layers are peeled away, and you start getting in some of the backgrounds of these other side characters. One in particular stands out because his father was a Titan hopper, and on his, I believe it was his very first mission, he ran and hid because he was scared. He was a full-blown coward, and so his family name is just destroyed, and he does the drudge work on the ship, and he angrily projects this onto his child. So when he, even though he is a Titan hopper, this kid, he got injured in one of his missions, and his father's just like, you're besmirching our family name when that happens. So he's projecting this cowardice onto him. I am better than halfway through 272. There's not quite 500 pages, and if this sticks the landing, there is a second book already out, and I will get that. However, that will not be the next thing I read. This will not be the next thing I read either, but I'm going to bring it up real quick. You walk into Barnes & Noble, and one of the first tables you're going to see has this on it, The Wager. This is a real-life historical event. I knew nothing about this. Nothing about this at all. I read the first little paragraph here about a shipwreck and stopped right there, so I'm going to go into this knowing nothing about it, but everybody in the world has read this book apparently except me, so I'm going to give it a go. Historical events like this, survival, this is something I have read, The Lost City of Z. This is about a guy who goes off into the Amazon and does his explorations there, let's say Indiana Jones looking for this lost city. The one thing you're going to learn in here, you're going to be scared of bugs. I don't know I could go into the jungle without some kind of suit that keeps the friggin' bugs off. Bugs, and more bugs. I remember watching an old, it was a National Geographic special about someone who did something similar in Africa, and it recorded his whole journey. And in this one scene, there was this monkey up in a tree just posing for his picture, and this photographer trying to take this picture, and his face is just coated with these crawling little bugs, and they're getting in his mouth, his nose, his ears, his eyes, and he's just trying to blow them off and everything. It's really, really difficult. So I don't know if the jungle is something I want to do without some technology to help me out here. So I picked this up the other day, another book by Mark Greaney in the Gray Man series, The Chaos Agent, featuring Cortland Gentry. Now, this is the 13th book. Here's the other 12 of them. I happened upon these, I don't want to say accidentally, but it wasn't what I was actually looking for. I had seen a movie called The Day of the Jackal, an old movie, great movie about an assassin hired to kill the French president. And you see it from his point. There's different point of view characters, but this, you get sort of a behind the scenes of what this hitman goes through to carry off his kill. So when I read the description of these, I was looking online to find something like it to read about, and The Gray Man came up. And interesting enough, the description sounds kind of like that, where he's an assassin and some other assassins kind of after him. It's not really quite like that. It's as it says right here in a blurb, born for the new millennium, like Jason Bourne. But yeah, it is, and there's some very striking similarities. One big thing about these, though, these are not some like brainwashing training. He's just a really good operative. And so somewhere in the past, he was on a mission, and he either failed and messed up, or he was set up, and we don't know which one of those things it is. So someone gets on his trail, and he goes on a run, and Greaney really did his homework. He's a very educated man, and he went around the world studying about covert ops, and it pays off in these books. This is a really, I want to say, gritty realism about some expert on the run. And as it goes on, So, for example, here in Ballistic, someone had killed a friend of his that he knew who had saved his life when they were both working for the CIA. And when he finds out about the fact that he was killed by a Mexican cartel, he goes to try to secure that man's family to protect them from him. As it goes on, I got my little notes here because I sometimes I had to go back and look and see what happens in each title. So it's in Backblast that he goes back to investigate and find out, was he set up or did he mess up? And so the answers are to be found in that book. The Gunmetal Gray, this is it's a hacker who has information and he's used as the MacGuffin, so he's got to go find that guy, secure him, and keep others from killing him. Let me move these out of the way so I can pick a book up here. Agent in Place. This one I really liked. Is what happens here is he goes and poses as a mercenary to help with a civil war going on in Syria. And a couple of the standout scenes here, that he does this first one in a couple of books where here's a big house, they have guards, and he's got to infiltrate his way into it, and he goes through these steps of timing them out. Let me move over here, let me move over there. Watching him infiltrate a home is cool. And then there are two times in all the books I read that involved a sniper doing something that turned out to be two of the coolest scenes I've ever read in anything. And one of those is in here, where he's got sights on the guy who's at the head of this civil war, and he wants to shoot him. He's got a sniper rifle. It is a record long shot, and he just doesn't know if he can get it. He measures, he moves the little tools on the gun to get it to point, and his solution to his problem is unique. It's outstanding to read. A lot of suspense just in a sniper shot. Move that one. This one, so this is along the way he gets a kind of a girlfriend. She herself starts out as a Russian agent, and he manages to get her over onto the United States side. And in this, she's off on her own, and it's a bit of a cat and mouse between the assassins hunting her and him hunting the assassins. This one, if there's one that has to stand out, I think it winds up being this one. What happens here is he's on a mission to kill someone, and in the midst of it, he finds this room full of women who have been captured. This is all about sex trafficking. And I read this book, and then it was sometime after, or the Jeffrey Epstein news came out about all his sex trafficking that he was doing. And again, Greeny does his homework, because, for example, I forget her name, but Epstein's second in command, I can't remember the woman's name, she's sitting in prison right now. She does what the second in command woman in this does. The women come in, and she brings them in and makes them feel like, oh, see, you're just gonna be staying in these fine homes and dressing in these fine clothes, and all you gotta do is prostitute yourself whenever we tell you to, and you're a prisoner here, and you're just gonna have to live with it. And that's exactly what she did. So there are these groomers that groom the adults when they capture them. The one thing that stood out here too, when you read through these books, Cortland Gentry is a pretty level-headed guy. I almost feel like he's kind of a flat character, but no, he does have a history. He's a very serious fellow. Occasionally, not even occasionally, there's maybe one or two times he cracks a joke or something. In this one here, he displays this wonderful bit of emotion because he is tracking down this, I believe it's just a yacht, and he got on into the water, and he's hooked onto this yacht, and he's trying to climb above it, and he's going over the waves, and he has this moment where he stops and he goes, this is why I do this action. I love this, before he goes on with the rest of the story there. And I believe this one, the previous book, the last one had to do with money laundering and who's paying who to do what, and sometimes both sides, whoever you want to try to call good and evil, are kind of cooperating. So here we come to the 13th book, Chaos Agent. I have no idea what it's about. It was a Gray Man book, so I just made sure to grab it. Oh, okay. Well, how timely in today's news. Artificial intelligence, a car accident in Osaka, a drowning in Seoul, a home invasion in Boston. Someone is killing the world's leading experts on robotics and artificial intelligence. Well, there you go. How timely. Okie dokie, The Gray Man, just a wonderful action series. I've seen the Jason Bourne movies and actually like them for the most part. I have not read those books, but I can tell you right now, I like the Gray Man books far more than I like the Jason Bourne movies. So this last one, this is called the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. Now, I got this because I was watching a video by, what's her name? Murphy Stapler or something? Probably heard of her. And she was talking about a book called The Ascension, and a portion of it talked about all the individual stories that people go through and master the world, and it reminded me of a word I ran across. It's actually from a meme. I didn't know it was part of a book. It starts with a word called sonder. The realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness. An epic story that continues invisibly around you like an anthill sprawling deep underground, with elaborate passageways to 1,000 other lives that you'll never know exist, in which you might appear only once as an extra, sipping coffee in the background as a blur of traffic passing on the highway as a lighted window at dusk. Loved that one. When I quoted it, though, it said from the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. I'm like, oh, there's a whole book of this stuff, and there is. One thing it points out, so obscure sorrow, so it makes it sound like it's really sadness. I'm trying to find the fill certain words. Here we go. So this is not a book about sadness, at least not in the modern sense of the word. The word sadness originally meant fullness, from the same Latin root satis, that also gave us sated and satisfaction. Not long ago, to be sad meant you were filled to the brim with some intensity of experience. It wasn't just a malfunction in the joy machine. So, not really pity, sadness, crying, that kind of thing. I believe this is divided up into sections. I don't want to waste too much time here holding me up, because let me see if I can just grab one. I'll just pick something and read it. Each word in here actually comes with a pronunciation. All these words are fiction. These are not official words. It's just something the author came up with a real grasp of language. This is Edirath. The feeling of emptiness after a long and arduous process is finally complete, having finished school, recovered from surgery, or gone home at the end of your wedding, which leaves you relieved that it's over, but missing the stress that organized your life into a mission. So that's going to come. Let's see, this one first, then probably this one. Then I almost want to use this like a coffee table book and just pick it up and read through it every once in a while. It might not be a straight read through, but if I get any major revelations out of it, I'll probably do a video about it. And that's about it. So some channel stuff. Let's see, I crossed the 2,000 views barrier. What? I got 2,000 views, 2,200 views. Three of them, there's 3 shorts that I did, and about 1,300 of these just come from these 3 shorts. 2 of them are about how strong a One Piece character is named Zoro, who's a swordsman, if you don't know who that is, and he does things like pick buildings up off himself and throws really heavy things around. The other one about just had to do with whether you pick a science fiction world or a fantasy world to live in. I like doing those; those are fun, and they get lots of views. So I guess you just do those instead or something. I don't know. There's Opus to say hello, Penguin Love. That's about it for me. All I got. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Hope you have a lovely week, lovely month, lovely year. Have a good day. See ya.